The hit TV series Grey's Anatomy has wowed audiences around the world ever since its pilot first aired back in 2005. In essence, the series is a drama centered on the personal and professional lives of 5 surgical interns and their supervisors. The series is known for moving audiences with a storyline that at times can be very poignant. So stay tuned and don't go away, because today we're looking at moments from season 17 of Grey's Anatomy that emotionally destroyed us all. So how did season 17 of Grey's Anatomy tackle the COVID-19 pandemic ordeal? Let's have a look. Season 17 of Grey's Anatomy was broadcast to audiences during the COVID-19 pandemic. And considering the series is a TV drama that takes place at a hospital, it makes sense that the storyline of season 17 would focus on the pandemic-related tragedies taking place around the world. The doctors in the show were faced with a lot of tough times in their personal and professional lives. But for most fans, the most traumatic moments came when they were forced to watch Meredith Grey be diagnosed with the coronavirus and then struggle to fight for her life. After watching the season 17 finale episode, fans looked back on all the episodes of the season and couldn't help but notice how heart-wrenching and sad the season was overall. But some of these tear-jerking moments stood out more than others, and so those are the ones we're going to focus on. The first was when Dr. Miranda Bailey, played by actor Chandra Wilson, gave Meredith a new position. Toward the conclusion of the season, while Meredith was recovering from COVID, she let Dr. Bailey know that she wasn't sure if she would ever go back to performing surgeries. Dr. Bailey, being the compassionate soul that she is, gave Meredith a new position and put her in charge of leading the residency program. Many fans felt it was a bittersweet moment watching Meredith put her surgical role on pause and start a new chapter in her medical career. It also told us a lot about Dr. Bailey and the kind of caring mentor that she is. What was one of the overall saddest moments of season 17? Let's take a look. For many fans of the series, one of the saddest moments that destroyed fans came during the episode titled No Time for Despair, when Meredith was put on a ventilator. As you may or may not know, the ventilator stage for the suffering with the coronavirus is the most severe and dangerous phase of the virus progression. For COVID patients placed on ventilators, the death rate has ranged from 50 to 97% depending on region. In China, for instance, death rates of ventilated patients has sat around 52%. On the other side of the world, however, in New York, for example, the death rates for ventilated patients has been as high as 88.1%. In other parts of the world, the death rate has been even higher. So naturally, when Meredith's condition worsened and she was put on a ventilator, it was almost too much to bear for some fans, and the tears started to flow. When you consider the fact that millions of fans have loved Meredith since the show's pilot first aired, it makes perfect sense that the writers would have Meredith come down with the virus. And for many observers, the scene when she was put on a ventilator was the saddest moment of the entire season. Meredith nearly died several times, and fans were certain that the virus would take her life. Fortunately for Meredith and millions of weeping fans, she was able to pull through and survive. So what's another memorable and heartwarming moment of season 17? Let's find out. For other fans, one of the most heartwarming moments of season 17 came when Dr. Joe Wilson decided to adopt Luna. When Dr. Joe learned that another family could adopt Luna instead, she asked Link to adopt her so that she could adopt Luna at a later date. And of course, that's what ultimately happened. Dr. Joe Wilson is played by actor Camilla Luddington, and ever since the character was introduced to audiences back in 2012, observant viewers could tell that she was in pain and clearly suffering with unresolved emotional and mental health issues. As soon as Dr. Joe was introduced to the show, we could see that she was cold, harsh, and abrupt with many of the people she interacted with, and we came to learn learn it was due to her attempts at hiding her tragic and traumatic childhood. Dr. Jo was also terrified that she'd never find true love, and so when she met Luna, she saw it as an opportunity to act as a motherly figure. Fans were so happy to see her find a family, even though it was different from the family life she had originally envisioned. After all, Dr. Jo was certain that she and Alex would stay married and live happily ever after with children of her own. But of course, we know that didn't pan out for her. Stay tuned and don't go away, because we're bringing you more moments from season 17 of Grey's Anatomy that emotionally destroyed us all. And we've saved the saddest moments for last. So what are some of the other moments of this award-winning series that tugged on our heartstrings? Let's have a look. Another tragic moment from season 17 that is seared in the minds of fans came during the episode You'll Never Walk Alone. During the episode, Meredith reconnects with the deceased character George when she has a vision of seeing George on a beach. Fans got out their boxes of tissues as they watched Meredith tell George, "I was devastated when you died. I was devastated, and then I was okay. And even with Derek, eventually you go on, and the kids would go on." After, George tells Meredith that his mom is still having a hard time with his death, and that he did his best to help her move on. Meredith responded to George's comment by asking him if he had haunted his mother. For millions of Grey's Anatomy fans, this moment was not only unbelievably sad, but also nostalgic, as fans remembered George from earlier seasons and episodes. Fans remembered all of the time that Meredith and George had spent together when they were interns and just starting their careers in medicine together. Naturally, fans weren't expecting Meredith to ever see George again, so the moment she saw him in her vision felt good. So are there any other tragic moments involving Meredith in season 17? Let's have a look. George wasn't the only character that Meredith saw on the beach in her vision. She also saw Mark, Bailey, Richard, and Lexi as well. But for fans, another tragic moment came when she saw Derek. When Meredith encounters Derek on the beach, they talk about Ellis, their third child, who was born after Derek passed away. For many fans, the moment Derek tells Meredith that she and Ellis look and act alike was too much, and tears formed in the eyes of Grey's Anatomy fans everywhere. The scene was particularly poignant because, as we all know, Meredith had been searching for closure surrounding Derek's death for a long time, and her encounter on the beach with him was just the type of closure she had been searching for such a long time. Another sad moment came during the season 17 episode titled Helplessly Hoping, which centered around DeLuca's tragic and violent death. If you recall, DeLuca bravely confronted a child trafficker named Opal and was viciously stabbed numerous times. DeLuca subsequently died as doctors were performing surgery on him and desperately trying to save his life. Of course, throughout the entire series, fans of the show have been forced to endure the tragic loss of many characters, but DeLuca's demise was extremely difficult to deal with, and his passing hit them hard. The reasons are likely due to the fact that 1. DeLuca's death was brutal and violent, and 2. He had a very close relationship with Meredith. Some fans didn't want to accept a romantic relationship between DeLuca and Meredith, but no one can deny that Meredith loved him dearly, and for many fans, the time they broke up was devastating. That's why when DeLuca and Meredith meet up in her beach vision, they let each other know how much they loved and cared for one another, and that was enough for the eyes of fans to well up. So what are the saddest moments from season 17? You're about to find out. After the loss of DeLuca, Teddy suffers with severe PTSD because she wasn't yet over the death of her former partner Allison. Teddy repeatedly saw moments of her life in a sort of dreamlike way. For many fans, watching Teddy go through this process was extremely sad, and viewers were finally able to grasp the totality of all that Teddy had been through and how much pain she had been carrying around for years. Losing DeLuca was the straw that broke the camel's back, so to speak, and it's what pushed Teddy over the edge. But the number one saddest moment came when Hayes gets hurt at a neo-Nazi protest by a neo-Nazi protester. Cormac's sons made signs for the protest, and when a protester tried to hurt them, Cormac bravely stood in the way and suffered a head injury. This was by far the saddest moment of season 17. That's a wrap for today's video, folks. Hit us with a like and subscribe to our channel because we've got more awesome content coming your way.